Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Surface Series. I'm your host, Jordan Lachey. This is j.sprays, and as always, I'm here to show you what goes on into making sports happening. And today, I have an episode for you to show you my little custom piece of art. It's football art, so don't get it twisted. I'm still showing you a football field. It's just at a little different scale. It's at a 90 by 40 inch football field, and I made it for a custom piece for the one and only Daniel Tosh. And the reason that I made this for Daniel Tosh, the comedian, if you're not familiar with him, which I'm sure most of you are, the reason I made it for Daniel Tosh is because I was going to be a guest on his podcast, and it fell through, but I was going to give him this mini football field as a gift, so he could do whatever he wants with it, whatever he felt like doing, and I made the entire field. Didn't actually end up getting to go on the podcast. Not their fault. It just worked out that way. And I ended up mailing this football field over to them. Didn't hear back after that, so I don't know what happened with it. No idea where it's at. I hope it's in a good place. I hope it's sitting somewhere serving its intended purpose. But the moral of this episode is I can make a football field at any size. All right, I can make a sports field. Doesn't matter if it's 2 inches long. Doesn't matter if it's 120 yards long. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to get to showing you my entire process. This is a whole custom piece that I just decided to do one day, and I like the way it turned out. So I'm going to take you with me. I've done a couple of these since, but let's go check it out, see the process. So I started off just by grabbing a piece of turf and measuring out the part that I was going to cut off of it, and pretty much that's what it was. I had to figure out the scale that I was going to make this thing because I knew it was going to be small, but I had to get the perfect dimensions to where all the yard lines, numbers, sidelines, and everything would match up in a way that makes sense, because you cut it a couple inches short one way or another, it's going to be off and it's not going to look right. And whether you know or don't know the dimensions that it's supposed to be on a full scale or a mini field, you can tell when something's off. So I had to make sure everything was looking good. And this is the first time I've ever made a stencil like this. So what I'm doing, a piece like this, a mini football field. So what I did was get my measurements. I put a little marking down just so I know where all my tape's going to go and my markings to get a straight edge. And then I fill up the airbrush. I went and bought an airbrush for this just because I knew I was going to be spraying at a different scale, and it is fun. That was my first time airbrushing, and I love it. I love switching it up, going from the full paint machine down to the airbrush. It was cool. So right now I'm making the sidelines. I have my markings down there, and I'm using this stick to try to get a straight edge, along with the tape, helping me get a crisp edge on the outside and the inside. And that's pretty much what this process is at the beginning, is just getting the sidelines down. And it's the opposite of what I would do on a full-scale football field. I would definitely not go with the sidelines first, but it's a completely different process, completely different approach. So not necessarily doing this like I would a full-scale football field, and I don't know if you'd expect me to or not, but I do like the process that I actually went along and did this with. I've done it faster the couple times I've done it since this, but it worked out. And the reason that I didn't get to go on this podcast was not because of it was Daniel Tosh's fault or any of his team. I am still employed by the Chargers, and I had this whole thing scheduled, and I was going to go do it, and I've been a fan of Tosh's comedy for a long time. I actually listened to the podcast, and so I reached out to try to get on this thing because they're just interviewing regular people that do cool stuff, and that sounded like me. So I was like, you know what? I'll go on this. I'll help promote my business a little bit and just be over there having a fun time, be interesting. And yeah, I thought it would have been cool, but my employer was they told me that I couldn't go, and it is what it is. I had to listen to them. So maybe there's a chance in the future that I'll be able to go back on the podcast or actually get an appearance on the podcast, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We don't know yet. So no hard feelings towards them, obviously. They didn't do anything wrong other than I hadn't got a response since I sent that mini field out. So it is up to you guys to judge what you think of it at the end and see if Tosh will actually respond to me to kind of say, hey, thanks for the field, or say, hey, I threw it in the trash, or whatever they decided to do with it. But I like the way it turned out. See how I did the yard lines? I measured everything out, put a little marking on the sideline, and then taped everything off just so I can get those yard lines down. And one thing about airbrush is that it sticks. I really do like the way that it stays on. There's not really not much drying time on this turf at least. And yeah, the only thing I would optimize a lot more is figuring out these hashes. These hashes took a long time. They were very, very meticulous. I probably should have put another piece of tape on the outside of each hash just so it could have got a more crisp line. But there's a lot of hashes to work with. And now I got these mini number stencils to replicate the full-size numbers that I would be doing on a full-size football field and putting them down like that. So this is a fun one. To be honest, I'm really glad I did it. I used the tape so I can line up the bottom of the number stencil and then paint it just so the numbers are lined up perfectly all along. And I make sure that not only the bottom of the tape is lined up with the number stencil, the side of the stencil is also lined up with the yard line, as you see. That way, everything's perfectly spaced out, and then it looks good. So that's the process pretty much of these numbers. I like the way that it turned out. I got these little things off Amazon. Nice, easy, cheap, and they worked pretty well. I've used them ever since. They had all the letters in there too, but obviously I didn't need any letters for this one necessarily. But I will be putting the custom logos on after I get this full football field down, which you'll see. Taking this tape off, it looks nice and beautiful. So yeah, I was really happy with the way it turned out. Just like this, I mean, I could have put literally anything onto this field, and this is the way it turned out. Just as the football field, plain football field. A lot of work, but a lot of fun if I do have to say so myself. So yeah, you see the hashes, they're not perfectly straight. I would probably put another piece of tape on each side of the hash marks just so I can get them a lot more crisp, and maybe even make the field a little bigger just so we have more space to space out those hash marks, because pretty much everything else looks great, I believe. It's just the hash marks. They're a little small for what it is, but I think they still look good. They're still the right amount. They're still spaced out just as evenly as they should be. They're just not as crisp as they should be, but we're doing pink on the end zone. I pretty much only had white and pink for this because those were the colors I was planning on doing. Eventually, I got more colors, but the pink, I didn't realize, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it took me a lot to be able to see this. I had to put coats and coats and coats. I had to put heavy coats on these end zones because I am a little colorblind, and I have a tough time seeing certain shades, especially like that color pink on this green. So I had to do it so many times before I really saw the pink in the end zone. So I'm going to be putting something on the end zone just to make it look like a full football field rather than just the color in the end zone. It's going to have the logos in the end zone. It's going to have the center, and it's going to look nice. It's going to be something that you wish you could put your dolls on and play, or your little action figures. A little bobblehead football game could work on this. So if you need one, I know how to make these. But yeah, the X logo is something that I found on their shop. And one thing that I wish I did was make it bigger, because I was spelling his name in the middle of the logo, just like they have as their logo on their shop for the podcast and the merch. But I didn't make it big enough, so the name really wouldn't have looked good in it. And you'll see what it kind of looks like once I finish this stencil, because I put the X, just for comparison, back on top of it once this pink is all dry and finished. And this realistically took me like 3 or 4 sessions, just because it was my first time. See, these numbers, I was originally going to put the white with those letters in there, but it wouldn't have looked very good. It would have been very crowded. So I'm glad that I didn't do it. But what I'm doing to make the pink pop a lot more is I'm giving it a white outline, just because, like I said, in the end zones, I was having a tough time seeing it. I don't know if other people would, but now I can see it. Now that I put the white on the outside, it's just when that pink and that green were right next to each other, it's almost like red and green. It is just tough for me to see. So that's why I put that white on the outline. And now I made these, just like the last episode, I put the stencil material up on the wall and then the projector with the logo on there. I did that just with a much smaller scale like this, with these pieces of paper right there, and then cut them out. And I had to make sure probably even more so with this type of stencil, that it was perfect because the imperfections are going to be seen on this. And I felt confident enough to just freehand the rest of this O. That's really the only thing I couldn't just completely stencil out. And I think it looked good. You be the judge. I'll show you the other end zone too. But I mean, everything looked good to me. I'm a big fan of the way that this football field turned out, and I really hope it went to a good cause. I really hope that it went to something good. So please just tell me what it was. Just tell me where it is. See, I did the O. Looks good. This is the full field. This is how it turned out. And boom. Tell me what you guys think about this. I have a little more to say to you, though. Now, if you want one of your own custom football fields, like this mini one right here that I just show you how I made, just hit me up. You can DM me. You can go on my website, j.sprayspaint.com, and then fill out the contact information. You can email me. My email's in my bio, whatever you want. I've made a few of these or a couple of these since the video or since this mini football field that I just showed you. I didn't record them, but I would gladly make one for you and then record it. So just hit me up because this is a fun one to make. It is a little more work than I expected when I first went into it, but now I've kind of got the process down and I'm excited about it. So I like doing it. I like airbrushing, so I want another reason to airbrush, and I'd appreciate if you guys just reached out and even just gave your thoughts. Just tell me what you thought could have been better, what you thought about the video, what you thought about the project in a whole. And then don't forget to like and subscribe to the page because this channel is growing. It's something that I'm trying to grow. I want to make people know. I want to teach people what goes on into making sports happen, and this is my way of doing it. Sports surfaces is my specialty. So that's my number one priority, is teach people about sports surfaces and then many other aspects of sports. But that is what I'm doing as long as you guys keep watching because it's fun for me. And I'm going to do it regardless, but the more people that watch, the better. So tell your friends about it. Tell your family. Tell anybody who likes sports. Tell anybody who likes the behind-the-scenes content for anything. So I appreciate it. I'm Jordan Shea. I'm signing out. It was a pleasure to do this one, and I hope to see you next week.